YouTube, what's happening with it? I just finished one video, and as soon as I finished that one, a whole new realm of things came to my mind. This one right here for new drivers is pretty much talking about, I talked about a few things as far as money management, time management, knowing your clearances, knowing your weight. Those that help you out big time. But some things I haven't talked about, what I'm going to talk about now, is the main part of this job. And that's, whipping these big things around these corners, bending these corners with these things. So, along with everything from the last video, this is pretty much going to be like a part 2. You're gonna get the first brunt of this when you get into that truck with your trainer, because you're gonna be doing a lot of the driving, and when you run out of time, your trainer's supposed to, at least with me, my trainer drove, and then when he ran out, I drove, but I drove a lot of the time. You might get with some companies where once you get in there with that trainer, you drive all the time, and then when you run out of time, they'll take a 10-hour break. Their trainer may not drive at all. Excuse me, you do all the driving. But for new drivers coming into the industry, even if, you might have had a CDL 6 months or whatever, you just didn't know where you wanted to go. The minute you get into your own truck is when the real world starts, because you're not going to have nobody holding your hand. You can't make, you can make a phone call. Like when I was with that last company as a company driver, I still have the phone number for my trainer. He told me I can call him at any time if I had any questions, if I ran into any problems. And even now, in my own truck, I'll be driving down the interstate sometimes, and I'll see him passing me, whether I'm on I-40, I-64, I-80, I-77, I-20, 26, don't matter. I see him every now and then, and he doesn't know I'm with the company. He doesn't know I left, but I recognize his truck anywhere. But nobody's gonna hold your hand once you get into your own truck. At that point, it is up to you. And everything is at your discretion. If you feel like it's safe to do it, then do it. If you start second guessing yourself, or you get that gut feeling like this doesn't feel right, don't do it. I will never consider myself a professional in anything I do. Every day is a learning experience. To be honest with you, the other day, I delivered to a warehouse in Mississippi that, even though I mentioned in my last video to know your route, a warehouse that I delivered to, you can only access it from one street. That one street had signs posted, no trucks. The little picture of the black truck with the red circle with the slash? No trucks. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what's down there, because I look at the map and it looks like I can get down there. But when I actually get there in person, there are signs posted. I didn't see that. You can't see that from a bird's eye view on Google Maps. So I'm like, okay. My instinct says keep going. So I keep going. The next street is a residential area. I know I can't go down there. The next street is a regular street, 4 lanes on each side with a yellow median. Okay, that looks like a good sized street. I turn down it. The next street I turn on, it says no trucks. Cool. And that street was routing me back to the street that said no trucks. I get down there to the turn and realize I can't make it. It looked like I could. I started making a turn, no lie. And I could have probably made it, but I got to the point that where my tandems, because when you make a turn with a truck, your trailer off tracks, meaning the tires on your trailer are not going to take the same. The tires on your trailer are not going to take the same path as your steers and your drives. They off track. That's the whole point of making wide turns. So my trailer, the off track, looked like it was going to actually run into a ditch. And I got to that point and I said, you know what? I'm not going to even try it. I'm not going to be like some of these drivers whose truck their trailer ends up sliding down into a ditch because it's loaded. You're not pulling a pickup with a little utility, 15-foot farm trailer. You can take that through a ditch and the truck will pull it right out. But if you got a load on a big 53-foot trailer, and if your truck slides down into that ditch, you are not pulling it out. So your decision will dictate whether you make the right decision and prevent it, or put yourself in a situation that's going to cost you a day and a lot of money for the company or yourself. So instead of taking that turn, I backed up, and there was a church right beside the street. I turned around in the church parking lot, and in my opinion, I don't know, anybody can tell me if I'm right or I'm wrong, but sometimes you end up in situations where you just have to, once you get past the point of no return, then there ain't no point but to keep going with it. So I couldn't get to the warehouse from that way, so I went back to the street that had the signs posted for no trucks. I made a decision on my own to take that street, passing by all the signs that say no trucks, and got to the warehouse, which was literally, the entrance was on that road. So you have to kind of, everything is at your own discretion. But that goes along with what I was saying about knowing your routes. I didn't know that, but you're not going to know everything until you actually get to that point. Like me, I didn't know that that street was, the signs were posted until I got to that street in person. But, as far as being in the truck, looking ahead, maneuvering, backing, all that, that's going to be the main topic of this whole video. In a car, truck, a pickup or whatever, motorcycle even, a lot of people have their own habits on how they drive. And one thing that I do 24/7, whether I'm in my own car or in my truck, is I'm always looking ahead. There are some people who literally they don't look no further than the car in front of them. Me, when I'm driving my car, I'm looking through that back window on the car in front of me and through their windshield. I'm looking at the stuff in front of them. If I see brake lights in front of the car in front of me, then I'm slowing down, because I already know the car behind me is going to start slowing down. I'm always looking ahead. In your truck, you're the biggest thing on the road. You can see everything in front of them. You can see at least a few miles up the road. If you start seeing brake lights, that means it's time for you to start slowing down. Always look ahead. If I'm making a left or a right hand turn, I start looking down that street before I even make the turn. I'm looking up, I'm looking down that street, I'm looking at because 9 times out of 10, when you turn a corner, there's going to be a speed limit posted within a quarter of a mile. There's going to be any hazard signs posted or anything like that. So if I'm turning down the street and I see a sign that says no trucks, before I start making that turn, I cancel my turn signal, I keep going. If I have to, I'll pull over on the side of the road, throw my hazards on, and make sure I can find an alternate route. So before I go down the street, I already know what's the speed limit on that street, whether it's a school zone, construction zone, kids at play, speed bumps. Always look ahead. Another thing a lot of new drivers have a habit of doing, I even did it, you're always concerned about the traffic behind you and around you. Everybody who are in their own cars that are in traffic with you, they may not know what it takes to drive a truck. They don't know how heavy you are. They don't know how long it takes to stop. They don't know how long it takes to speed up to the speed limit. And some people either are just ignorant or honestly don't know what it takes to make a right-hand turn. But you have to do what you're supposed to do to maneuver that truck in the traffic around you. Some people, as a driver, you can't pull into a restaurant parking lot to try to figure something out. You can't fit. You're 70 feet long. I've been in situations where I'm on a major road, not an interstate, but I'm in a city or whatever. I pull over to the side, to the curb as close as I can and put my flashers on until I figure out And this is what I was talking about in my last video. You're going to end up in some situations where you get closer to a city for your delivery or pickup, and you got to make sure you're going to end up down the right street to get to whatever warehouse you're going to. You got to watch the traffic around you, because you can't fit in every parking lot. Worst case scenario, do what you think is best. Pull against the curb on that road. Traffic will go around you, but you can't go around everybody. You can't fit in there everywhere, But a lot of new drivers get into the habit of thinking about everybody else around them. Don't worry about them. Take your time. That is the key 3 words right there. Take your time. If you have to make a right-hand turn on a small 2-lane road, take your time. Don't worry about traffic around. I don't care if they blow the horn at you. Take your time. If it takes you 4.5 minutes to make a right-hand turn, then it takes you 4.5 minutes. Eventually, the traffic around you will get the picture. Okay, this is a big-ass truck. He's trying to turn. Okay, the traffic in front of me, maybe they'll realize they're going to have to back up if they are too far forward. Like if they're at the light and you're trying to make a right-hand turn and your light is green, they'll back up. But if they're too far forward and nobody else is going to back up, then guess what? Traffic behind you, if they got common sense, would say, this truck, well, you should already have your turn signal on to make that right turn. Traffic behind you will see you're trying to make that right turn. They may be impatient, but common sense would say, okay, he's trying to make a turn, but those cars are right there, so he can't turn. So if they can see what's going on, they're not going to be mad at you, because they will probably understand what's going on and say, those cars need to back up so that this truck can turn and I can go about my day. So if they get mad, start blowing the horn or whatever, they're probably not going to blow the horn at you. They're looking at them cars. So however long it takes you to make that turn, that's however long it takes you. If you have to go through a whole cycle of red lights or whatever, then so be it. Play it safe before you make a bad decision. So on that next, when your light turns green, when your light turns red again, those cars go out the way. 9 times out of 10, hopefully you don't have a light that says no turn on red. So if this says no turn on red and that intersection is clear for you to make that turn before somebody else pulls up to the light. Now, if your light turns green and there's no traffic, start making your turn, if it's safe to do so, before somebody else pulls up to that light. Now, if somebody's pulling up to the light in the middle of your turn, keep going. I'm not saying hit them, but they should realize you're making a wide turn. You have to use all the space you can to make that turn without hitting something with the off track on your trailer. They'll get the idea, and they should stop well in advance and start backing up to give you more room if you need it. But take your time when maneuvering through cities, small towns or whatever. Know what's ahead of you when you're making turns. Know what's ahead of you if you're just driving straight. Always look ahead at least a mile to see what's going on, so it doesn't run up on you. Always give space to everybody in front of you. You can't drive these trucks like it's your car, Always give space to everybody in front of you. And because it's frustrating to me every single day. I don't care how many people cut in front of you. I don't care how many people, nobody gives consideration to a truck on the road. People cut in front of me every day, and I already, 3 and 4 cars at a time, and then they start slowing down. Now I got to slow down. If they was to slam on the brakes, I'm out of luck, But give space to everybody in front of you to protect yourself from a rear end collision, from hitting somebody from behind. So the biggest thing that, in my opinion, is it's not hard for me. I actually enjoy it. The funnest part of driving a truck for me is backing up and turning. You make your money bumping them docks, dropping off and picking up them loads. Driving on the interstate is boring to me. Bending corners in these little cities and backing up, that's the funnest part of the job for me. You know, I like challenges. But it's those things that make it very, you end up being vulnerable to some of the most costly mistakes. Take your time making turns. Always. I don't care if you got all the room in the world. Use your mirrors. You have no choice but to use your mirrors in these trucks. Take your time going around these corners. Take your time backing up at these warehouses. That's another thing that brings up this next topic. And the same thing applies for truck stops as well as warehouses. Some drivers, they get nervous, and some people, their anxiety, skyrockets because you're a new driver. You're backing up into a dock, or you're at a truck stop backing into a parking spot, and you feel like everybody in that warehouse, every truck driver in that warehouse, every truck driver in a truck stop, everybody's eyes is on you, watching you back up, because you don't want to make a mistake and be looked at as that new guy. 9 times out of 10, that's going to take over your whole mentality. And you're going to try to back into that spot, whether it's 2 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, without getting out and look. That can cost you, because if you're doing a sight side back, which is the easiest way to back up, and the only way I would ever suggest to back up, meaning you can back up to your left and look out your window to see where your trailer's going. You can't see if your trailer's going to hit that truck on the right hand side of you, which would be the truck on your right once you actually get into that spot. So once you set yourself up for that backup, pop that brake, you get out and you walk around the entire truck. See how much room you got on the other side of you before you back into that spot. I've watched truck takes 15 minutes to back into a spot, and the truck stop will be backed up. At least 5 or 6 trucks coming out of the fuel pumps, waiting for one guy to back up. But guess what? You don't never hear none of them complaining. You don't hear nobody blowing their horns, because we all have to start out somewhere. And anybody who in their right mind who has their own truck would rather have somebody get out and look 3 or 4 or 5 times than to try to back into that spot and risk hitting their truck. 9 times out of 10, that person is probably going to get out and help them back up, not because they want to help them get on their spot, but because they don't want their truck to get hit. I've been in that situation a few times myself. That's another big thing. Always try not to let the thought of all eyes being on you pressure you into trying to be that guy that tries to get it in there the first time without being safe and getting out and look. A lot of companies have a little sticker on their mirrors now that it's an acronym, GOAL, GOAL. Go, get out and look. If you got to pull up 12 times, pull up 12 times. As long as it takes you to back your truck up into a spot without hitting another truck, or backing your trailer into a dock without hitting another truck, do it. I've been in a situation pulling into a warehouse when the personnel unloading the truck, where they will be sitting there, I can see them, their body language, like they're joking and he's taking too long. I don't care about them. They got a job to do. That's what they get paid to do. Load trucks. Unload trucks. I get paid to get loaded, get unloaded, and drive. If it takes me 20 minutes to back into a door, it takes me 20 minutes to back into a door. I'm eventually going to get it. But take your time with everything you do. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's going to be times when you're on this road and you're driving through the mountains. Not everybody carries the same weight. I try to keep my truck loaded light. I don't like heavy loads. But I'm going to tell you right now, if you get a load 38, 40, 42, 44,000 pounds, you're going through the mountains, you're going to be doing about 25, 30 miles an hour up the hill. It's going to be trucks flying up on you. 9 times out of 10, they're empty or they're carrying a light load. Don't let them people pressure you. Take your time. Like I said about traffic earlier, making turns and all that. Everybody's going to go around you. You take your time to keep yourself safe. When you start going down the mountain, take your time. It's trucks gonna be flying around you and other traffic gonna be flying around you. Don't try to let peer pressure force you into doing what they do. If they go down that mountain at 60, 70 miles an hour, let them go down there at 60, 70 miles an hour. You keep that engine brake on and you take your turn. You take your time. If you're not comfortable going down that mountain and knowing what the limits is of your truck going down that mountain, going around curves with a load, take your time. You know what I mean? If they're going around that mountain at 65 miles an hour, that don't mean you can go around that mountain at 65 miles an hour, especially if you got a heavy load. Keep that thing 55 or below. Don't let other people pressure you into doing something that they're doing, because it may not be safe. You know? Take your time. Anytime you start backing up, throw them flashers on. That's like a universal sign for everybody. If a truck has their flashers on, 9 times out of 10 they're about to stop or they're about to back up. You know, if you're backing up, you should already know this with a trainer, or even getting your CDL in school. Windows down all the time. I don't care if it's raining, snowing, windows down. You got to be able to hear. And this is the thing. This is the way I look at it. When you're getting your license, or even when you're with a trainer at the, orientation or whatever, if you're backing up, 9 times out of 10, they're going to have a whistle. You hear a whistle, that means stop, pull up, get out, look, readjust, try again. That concept is important, because when you get out here on this road, backing into these docks and these truck stops, you're not going to have no whistle. But if you get too close to a truck, you guarantee he's going to blow his horn. That's your whistle. Stop, get out, look, readjust. If that driver's not in his truck, he may be pre-tripping or whatever. If you get too close to his truck, he may not have time to run and get in his truck and blow the horn before you hit him. He's going to yell at you probably. That's your whistle. That's why they do the whole whistling thing, at the schoolhouse and, orientation and all of that. Take your time with everything. Safety is more important than trying to get stuff places on time. There's been plenty of times I've gotten loads delivered late. But they're going to want that product. It's better to be safe and be late than to be speeding, trying to get somewhere on time and then possibly not even make it. Take your time with everything. Everything. I've been in situations on the interstates. A lot of interstates, majority of it, maybe 3 lanes, sometimes 4. But in between major cities, a lot of times it may be 2 lanes. Looking ahead, if you're in that right lane where you're supposed to be, and you see as far as looking ahead goes, and you see that there's an on-ramp to the interstate, you look up that on-ramp, you see cars starting to merge onto the interstate. If nobody's beside you, get over. Let them over. Because what's going to happen is, almost every time, some cars may speed up to get in front of you, which is cool. But a lot of times, them people will just drive, take their time, and they won't speed up until they get on the interstate. And you're already doing whatever the speed is, which is usually going to be faster than them. But they wait until the last second to look and realize, oh, there's a big 70-foot truck right there beside me. And they panic and hit the brakes. Or they don't speed up at all. Now they're just riding beside you even though the on-ramp is running out. So now they're about to run onto the shoulder. Get over. If you can't get over, just start to slow down. Because you obviously can't accelerate as fast as they can. Now, a lot of places, it's not required for anybody to get over on the interstate to let traffic in. It's not required. It's just common courtesy. So if you can't get over, maintain your lane and leave it at that. Because 9 times out of 10, I guarantee you, they're going to slow down because they don't want to hit you. They don't want to deal with being hit by a truck. So they're going to slow down or speed up. So maintain your lane. I've been in situations where people slam on brakes at the last second and they get in behind me, they pass me, and they blow the horn or flick me off. They can be mad all you want to, all they want. But that goes along with what I said earlier about, in my last video, about people not knowing what it takes to drive a truck. You're 70 feet long. You can't maneuver as fast as a car can. You can't accelerate or slow down as fast as a car can at all. So if you got a car that's matched your speed, that's beside you on the left-hand side, you obviously can't get over. And you can throw a turn signal on all day long. Half these people don't even pay attention to it. They throw a turn signal on, you try to change lanes, they don't want to be behind a big slow truck, so they speed up. So you can't get over. They have their choice, but the people merging on don't have a choice but to either speed up or slow down. With that being said, if you have the opportunity, get over and let them pass. You know, let them merge. If you can't get over, either maintain your lane or slow down. They'll figure out a way, one way or another. You know, just try to use your best judgment when you're out there on the road. At the end of the day, you're the biggest and slowest thing out there. Let everybody work around you. Don't let traffic overwork you. You know, don't let traffic overwork you. Let everybody else work around you. And that's pretty much all I can think of right now as far as maneuvering these trucks. Anybody have any comments? Leave them below. Questions? Leave them below. I'll answer them as soon as I can, or maybe post another video. If anybody has any questions, more than likely I'm gonna make a video about it, because it'll benefit other people who may have the same questions. Because, you know, a lot of people may not even read comments that much like that. So feel free to comment below, subscribe. Until next time, y'all be safe out there.